If my daddy was sorry and wasn't around, you don't get the privilege of walking me down the aisle.
But
That
was,
is a
was he sorry,
hold on. He wasn't there. I'm sorry if you don't raise your kids and you're not there. You sorry. You sorry. You a sorry. That's what you are. You understand? So if you are not there and you don't, and you got a relationship 2 or 3 years ago, cool. He should be a part of it. He should be there. You're an adult. You're getting married. You want your daddy to walk you down the aisle? Let him do it. But it's to the expense of your mother not being there.
Which should
she's entitled to her feelings. She's entitled to being hurt after she done moved mountains and did X, Y, and Z for you. Period.
Could the father say the same thing?
What mountains did he move when he wasn't there?
You don't know why he wasn't there.
I think the mother everybody's entitled to how they feel, but still, she needs to make a decision.
We don't need to know.
Based on what she wants.
You're right.
You don't need to know because end of the day, I'm sorry, maybe y'all daddies are different, but it ain't no woman, my mama included, who was gonna keep my daddy away.
Yeah, whatever the reason is just an excuse. It could have been the mother and the breakup. It could have been anything. But he chose not to be around his kid. That's on him. It doesn't matter why.
So
can somebody keep you from your kids?
No.
Thank you.
But
that's the end.
Not all men are like that.
Not a lot of men are dangerous. I'm dangerous. So there's a big difference between me and
it's not.
Yes, the hell it is.
If you were somebody, if you want to be with your kids, you will make it happen.
Here's the eye-opening fact is this. She still wants her father there, which means whatever her mother has done wasn't enough. Which means
that's not what it means.
What do you mean? Whoever her mother is to her wasn't enough. Because if you're looking at it from a perspective, which I can understand. Now, if you didn't raise your child for whatever reason, I don't co-sign with you. I do think that you're a lame ass individual.
He could have been an usher.
But what I'm saying is that child or adult has a relationship with that father that has not been fully explained here, but it is very telling that the relationship is strong enough for her to consider her own mother not potentially being at her wedding who was there.
And I think that's the thing. I don't disagree with you. I think if that feeling is so strong. Hey guys, if you enjoyed that clip, make sure you check out the full episode on YouTube.
I said I'm never coming back again. Next, I stepped away from the mirror. I got my mind made up now, cause I can see the future much clearer.
What's happening? A lot of times people make content that's kind of like rage bait or whatever. So I'm not gonna try to do that, but that concept of nobody can keep you from your child. That's a good concept. That's a good ideal. But that's not true. And what winds up happening is you get people, they say stuff, but you're not in those situations. It's hypothetical. It's like, oh, and I think women like to say this a lot because they're not on the other side of that equation. You get what I'm saying? You know, you can never keep me from my kid. Yeah, I hear you. So somebody could never keep you from your kid. Like, I forgot his name. Oh boy, from Edit Tape, he was talking about like he basically, you know, he could be off the chain. And I'm like, whatever. And the reason I said it is because you can go crazy, and sometimes crazy works, sometimes it don't. You get what I'm saying? So for the people, nobody can keep me from my child. So people can't call the police on you and make up stuff because they do that all the time. That's a normal thing. You know, that's a normal thing. When you go to pick up your child, they just disappear and don't show up. That's a normal thing. You know, they disappear, they ghost you. If you're supposed to meet somewhere, they don't show up. Now you got to go chasing around from them. That's a normal thing. But it's like nobody can keep me from that. No. You know, if you go crazy, all of a sudden you got a restraining order. You get what I'm saying? But when you say like nobody could do it, it could never happen. It's a lie. People do it all the time. You know, and using this example with the wedding, one of the issues I saw was this is an issue. This is part of what keeps the the male-female dynamic at odds. Because women have this thing with it, where when it comes to men, you just make up a story. You just make up a story. You don't know what happened, but since a man was involved, you got to make up the worst scenario you can. And part of that becomes, with this concept with the wedding and the girl wanting the father to come to the wedding, the mother like, I ain't coming. Yeah, that sounds like what went on her whole childhood. You shouldn't like your dad because I don't like your dad. That's what happens. If he is around, I'm not gonna be around. Okay. Well, you can use that both ways. If she don't want to be in the same room as him, and she wants to boycott her daughter's wedding because of him, of course she was doing something to keep him away from his daughter. And the other thing I say is, just because somebody raised you don't mean they care about you. It doesn't mean that they love you. And when kids grow up to become adults, they found out who the problem really was. They figure out who the problem was. And I think, like, some of you women have an issue with, you can be the custodial parent, you can be the single mother and be the problem. That's a normal thing. You can be, oh, mom, I did this and I did that. You can say all that stuff in the world, but when it comes down to it, the whole time you were the problem. There was a young lady on social media recently talking about how she found out her dad didn't abandon her, but her dad's dead now. But her mother was playing games. This happens a lot. You got adults going through this now. You get what I'm saying? People in their 40s, 50s going through this now. So when people go, oh man, nobody could keep you from your kid, nobody could stop you. Yeah, they could do it. They could do it. Some people, and I hate to say this, but some people lied on people to the point where the police got involved, like arresting folks. Some people lied to family members to get people beat up or attempt on their life just to get their way. That's the nobody can keep you from your kids. Like, you've seen it. You've seen people get married and convince their new husband to be anti-dad and go along with making up lies so he can't be with his own kids. You've seen it. There've been dads who went to pick up their kid and the stepdad killed him. Or the quote unquote stepdad threatened to kill him. So when people say this stuff, it's like, oh, we're gonna ignore what you see all far more often than not. And the problem sometimes is people like to live with this old, and I gotta say this correctly. People like to live with the old deadbeat dad stereotype of the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, sometimes 70s sometimes. But that's not the reality. That's not the reality in the 2000s, 2010, the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, now 2020. That's not really the reality. And the reason why I say it that way is because people who were kids in the 90s figured out how the system was working against their dad when they became fathers and mothers, because people exploited the system. So now it's like, oh, I get what was going on. So that concept of the deadbeat dad, that's not what's really been going on. What's been going on is a lot of moms have been exploiting the system. Nobody's really been deadbeats now. That's more rare than that's more not the norm than it is now. And it's been like that for a while. So, you got a lot of ladies who don't want to deal with that concept that, yeah, women out of pocket. These mothers out of pocket. And even like this controlling and manipulative approach to a wedding. Like, okay, you don't want to be part of the wedding, you're not gonna be in the wedding. Cool, whatever. Bye. Bye. The wedding's gonna stop because you're not gonna be there? No. Is it gonna be messed up? Yeah. But that's what you want to do. And here's the other thing that becomes an issue. No, the anger is really misplaced a lot because a lot of you moms weren't abused. Like you weren't getting beat on. You weren't like nothing like crazy was happening to you that made you an enemy with a guy. Y'all had a kid together and you just wanted to have your way, so y'all became enemies. That's generally how it happens. I got a kid, we got a kid, but I got a kid and I feel powerful now and I could do everything I want. My parents can't tell me nothing and you can't tell me nothing because the court's on my side and I can get the parents on and off my side when it's convenient. So I'm just going to act a fool. That's normally what happens. So people, so in this concept, yes, people can keep you from your kids. Yeah, absolutely they can. They move to other states. You can move to other cities. Just do all kinds of crazy stuff. Who's normally not following the court orders? The mothers. Who's normally getting a slap on the wrist for not following court orders? The mothers. The whole system is set up, the whole system was set up to benefit the mothers, and now the mothers were so egregious and out of pocket that it's built in surveillance basically to see if she's doing the right thing, because if she's not, they can quickly switch things around, not necessarily custody, but switch all of these orders around because they got tired of people coming back to court 3 and 4 and 5 times to the same damn judge. You go, okay, it's like, okay, that's enough. That's enough. But I'm gonna leave it at that, man. Tell me what you think. Peace.